Hello, my friends, and happy Tuesday. Yes, it's Tuesday. It's not our usual day to get together. So, if you're here, if you're watching, thank you so much for tuning in. That probably means that you went to our event schedule and found out that we have not one, not two, but three project videos this week. And that, of course, is because of the holidays. We have a little mini holiday project marathon. And today we are going to tell a magical story. And the magical story has to do with spiders, and it also has to do with it's essentially the origin story of how tinsel came to be. So we have our two little magical Christmas spiders. And I know that most of you who have been watching me for a long time, you probably have heard this story multiple times. But every time we have new people joining us, and that's wonderful. So if you are new to our little eclectic group, you will be hearing a Christmas story. And the Christmas story comes to us from Eastern Europe primarily, which is where I come from. So as far as I know, it mostly comes from Ukraine, and which incidentally is where my origin story starts, and Germany. So they tell variations of the same Christmas story, both in Germany and in Ukraine.
Jillian says hello.
Hi, Jillian. And thanks for joining us, my friend. I'm glad you found us on this very unusual day for a video. So as we are starting out, I'm showing you my little collection of spiders. So this year I'm adding 2 spiders to my Christmas spider party. But in the meantime, these little guys were actually the first spiders I have ever made in one of these videos, and they have been so very, very popular. We have just been making more of them. And then of course we have the big guys and the 2 new spiders this year are the Christmas Eve spider. And you know, when I think of Christmas Eve, I think of kind of this magical night, and it's sparkly and beautiful. And I also wanted to create a spider out of gemstones. So here is this guy, and I've never done that, so this is a first. So this is a gem of a spider. And that's literally what I called it. So anyway, as I'm playing with my little spiders right here, I will tell you the story of the Christmas spider. But let's get going on our project, and I will be telling you the Christmas spider story as I make the Christmas spider. So I think these guys need to maybe move and make a little room, so we can have a little room to spread out. So when we start making a spider, we are going to start with the head and the body. And so as you know, all of these little spiders are can be found in the Eclectica Etsy shop in the featured on Facebook section. And so I will try to remember exactly. I mean, this one, the one that I'm making today, is one of the new ones, and this is the Christmas spider. And so that is what we're starting out with. So when you get your kit, you will find this little curved wire. This is the 18 gauge wire, and the first thing we're going to do is we're just going to straighten our wire. And you know, if it were a little longer, I would probably use my wire straightener, but it's simply not long enough for that. So I think the flat nose will do just fine. So there we go. So the very first thing we're going to do is we are going to make a loop. And this is just a regular little loop, not even a wrapped loop. And I generally make one loop that is a little larger, one loop that is a little smaller, but you know, you can make them the same or not. So really the only reason I am talking about the size of the loop is because eventually we may want to use our spider as an ornament. And so we'll be using the loop to hang it from our tree or from our light fixture or in the window. And if you're foreseeing using something larger than, say, fishing line, maybe you make a larger loop. So you decide. So let's just go ahead and make the loop. Enough talking about the loop, right? We're just going to go ahead and make it. So with my flat nose pliers, I am making a 90-degree angle, and then I am going to make this into a loop with my round nose pliers. I'm grabbing it at the very end and making the loop going in the opposite direction of the bend. And if I want to make this nice and flush, which I most certainly do, I will again use my flat nose pliers and close that loop just like a little jump ring.
Kim K says, hi, everyone. I almost forgot about tonight.
Hi, Kim. Well, I'm so glad you remembered. Yay. So I know it's a different night, you guys. Anybody who possibly might join us for the very first time, I'm just going to let you know, normally we do projects on Thursdays. However, this is a very special week. We only have, just like 2 weeks, something like that, before Christmas, right? So we need to finish all of our ornaments. So here we are. So I made this loop, and now I'm going to string on the head of the spider right here, and the body of the spider, the very, very sparkly, blingy spider body. So let me point out that the spider body bead has rather a large hole. So when we make a loop, we don't want this to be a very, very tiny loop, because then of course the bead will just slide over the loop. So we need to make kind of a healthy size loop. I'm going to say maybe like 4 or 5 millimeters. And when you make the bend for the next loop, so I'm bending the wire for the next loop, I am going to, do you see how much room I'm leaving? Maybe even more than that, maybe just a little tiny bit more. So between my bead, the blingy body bead, and where I'm holding my pliers, it's about 4 to 5 millimeters. And let's go ahead and just make that nice 90-degree bend. Once you have that, we are going to cut the 18 gauge wire to whatever size loop we are planning to make. So I'm cutting it to about 11-12 millimeters. And this will give me a nice size loop, maybe 5 millimeters or so. And I'm going to do this using my round nose pliers. And again, I'm going in the opposite direction of the bend in the wire. And I always like to align it with my flat nose pliers, just so that I know for sure there's no room whatsoever between the two sides of the loop, right? There's no gap.
Vanessa says, hi everyone, joining late.
Hi, Vanessa. I'm so glad that you're joining.
Kim R says, hello, I'm looking forward to hearing the story of the Christmas spider.
Oh, Kim, thank you so much. You know, I've been telling the same Christmas spider story for so many years now. I was hoping you guys are not getting tired of it. But I actually love it. It's such a great tradition. So I'm glad that you kind of validated it. So thank you so much. All right, ladies. So I have my 2 beads on, and actually the gap that we left, remember that 4 or 5 millimeter gap, it's going to be in between the beads because that's where all the little legs are going to be. And before I start telling the story, before I start telling the story, let me just give you a heads up of what I'm about to do. So when you take out your wire, I want to say there's going to be the 18 gauge wire, which is the heavier of the 2, and that's the one for the body. And then you're going to have a big coil of wire. It'll look something like this. You cannot mistake it for the other one. So you'll have a big coil of wire. And I want to say it's something like 32 inches of 22 gauge wire. Very important, 22 gauge. So when you get your 22 gauge wire out of the kit, just cut it into 4 equal parts. 4 equal parts. And once you cut it into 4 equal parts, we are going to bend each wire length right in the center, just like that. So I'm just using my fingers. I'm not even using my tools at this point. We're going to do this with all 4 lengths of wire because each length of wire is going to become 2 little spider legs. So each length of wire is a pair of legs. And once I finish bending them all in half, right in the center, I'm going to start wrapping each wire length right in between the head bead and the body bead. Okay, so I have all of these ready to go. And so all I'm going to do is just wrap each set of legs around the wire right here in this gap, and I'm going to try to do this as tight as I can. So if I need to use my chain nose pliers, I will do that. And so my goal is to fill this gap with legs and just kind of position the legs fairly evenly on both sides.
Kim K is wondering, are you using half hard wire?
Yes, Kim, you are so clever. That's a great, great question. I am indeed using half hard wire. And if I were using sterling wire, it would be labeled as half hard, but more often than not, it is not labeled as half hard when you buy base metal wire. So the brand that I'm using, the brand of wire, is Beadsmith. And that is the one that I really like when I need half hard wire. So there's one of my little legs. So all the legs are going to be pretty much the same, and I may have to tinker with them just so that they're positioned just so. So let's tell the spider, the Christmas spider story. So once upon a time, in a land far, far away, there was a poor widow, and she had 2 children, and they lived in this little house with just a dirt floor. And they were so poor, they could not afford to get a tree for Christmas. But somehow, just through, the miracle of a little seed somehow getting into their house, the seed started growing right in their dirt floor. And it grew into this beautiful pine tree. So they were really happy because for once they would have a Christmas tree in the house. And so in the meantime, you see all my little legs are starting to come along. Well, these are not my legs. These are the spider's legs. Okay. So, so the little seedling grew into this beautiful pine tree. And of course, they were so happy, but still, they could not afford to have Christmas ornaments. And in the meantime, all little spiders in the house realized that they weren't going to have the tree decorated. So the night before Christmas Eve, after the family went to bed, all the little spiders came down. So what I'm doing, ladies, is I'm using my chain nose pliers to kind of make this nice and snug. And if you have any gaps whatsoever, perhaps, just wrap the legs a couple more times. We definitely want to close all of the gaps. And you can have each set of legs wrapped once, twice, 3 times, whatever you need to do in order for everything to be nice and snug. And I feel like at this point mine are. So I am about to continue to the next step. But we have a story to tell. So all the little spiders climbed right onto the tree, and they just ran around the tree, and they decorated the tree with spider webs. And when the first morning sun hit the spider webs, they shone with silver and gold. And that, ladies, is the origin of the Christmas spider story. In some versions of the story, it's Santa who turns the spider webs into silver and gold. But either way, that is why we have the tradition of decorating with tinsel. So, and if somebody else has a different version of the story, feel free to put your version in the comments. There are always so many different versions. So, so what do you think? Here's our little spider, and now we're going to start decorating his or her legs. And so let's grab some beads. So it is the same pattern for every one of the legs. So I'm thinking I'm just going to work on one leg and show you from start to finish. And then we will move on to the next spider. So let's see. Oh, okay, this is what I'm missing. I'm like, what am I missing? All right, so we have some 8/0 seed beads, we have some rondelles, we have a faceted bugle bead right here, and we have a couple of those slender teardrops. So this is the pattern, ladies. So first I'm going to string 3 of the 8/0 seed beads onto one of the legs. Then we have the faceted bugle, and this is what that looks like. And next we have another seed bead. So essentially, whenever we transition from one bead to the next, we're always going to have a spacer, and that is going to be the 8/0 seed bead. And I think I need just a couple more of the 8/0 seed beads. And so again, we have 3 8/0 seed beads, a bugle bead, a seed bead, a rondelle, so you guys can see the rondelle. Then we have the teardrop, another seed bead, another rondelle, and another seed bead, and finally another teardrop. So this is a whole spider leg. And so keep in mind, they're all going to be exactly the same. So once you have your spider leg done, we're just going to make a 90-degree angle. So the reason that I gave you a lot more wire than you actually need is because some people will wrap around this little space between the two beads a lot more. So don't feel like you have to worry about it, because you can see you have quite a bit of extra wire. In fact, past this little teardrop and then the 90-degree angle, we really only need maybe something like 1/2 inch for the spiral, and the spiral is going to be the little spider's foot. So this is what I'm going to do. I am just going to make a little loop. Can you guys see the loop? And we are going to cut off everything past this loop. So make sure that what you're leaving is entirely curved. Anything that is not yet curved, we are going to cut off. And I'm going to put my round nose pliers right back in and continue with the loop, making a second loop on the outside of the first. So I am essentially making a very tiny little spiral. And once I have a loop and a little extra, I'm going to grab my flat nose pliers, and then using my flat nose pliers, we're just going to continue making the spiral. And this is what our spiral looks like. So we're going to complete all 8 legs, and we're going to make a little spiral at the end of each one. So in the meantime, I'm going to do just a little magic with the spider I had on my table, just so that I can show you how to shape it. So yes, I'm undoing a little bit, and that's okay, just for the purpose of our demo. So once you finish all 8 legs, the chances are your spider is going to look something like this. It's going to be flat, or maybe, who knows, maybe the legs are going to be just a little bit wonky. You know, it doesn't matter, because this is the really fun part, ladies. This is the part where we shape the spider. You can give him a little character. You can shape him however you want to. So I start by shaping the 2 front legs around the head, the 2 back legs around the body like this. And then the legs that are in between are just going to follow the first 2 sets of legs. So you can already see this is a very elegant spider that is starting to take shape. So here we go. And if we want to give him a little bit more dimension, we can always raise his body by pushing his legs down, something like this. And then the very, very final touch is I always like the little spirals to be like actual feet. So we're going to give him or her little feet. And I do that with my flat nose pliers. And I just give them a little bit of an angle. So this way, it just kind of looks like our spider is standing on his own 8 legs. And I know not everyone is into spiders, but this is not a real spider, you guys. This is a sparkly little guy, and he is part of such a beautiful tradition. So he's not scary. He's saying hello, everybody.
Kim R says he's looking pretty spiffy.
Oh, thank you. And he says, thank you, Kim R. He's a very genteel spider. Great manners, too. Okay, ladies, should we do... so I'm going to do like a little abbreviated demo for the gem of a spider. And this too can be a Christmas spider. I didn't specifically make this one as a Christmas spider, but I tell you what the inspiration for this one was. So it is mostly garnet. So his head is made out of garnet. His little legs are made out of garnet and hematite. And his body looks like it could be garnet, but it's not. It's actually labradorite that was dyed to look like ruby. But he's mostly garnet. So the inspiration for this was that you probably know exactly where I'm going with this. It is the January gemstone. So perhaps if you are making spiders and you have somebody who has a January gemstone coming up, why not make them a garnet spider? So I meant to say a January birthday coming up. That makes way more sense than a January stone coming up. Okay, all right, now that we have made sense, all I'm going to show you is just the order of beads, because clearly we are using different beads for this one, and it's not going to be exactly the same order, but in some ways it's actually almost even a more simple order of beads, because we don't have quite as many styles of beads to keep track of. We only have the garnet beads. We have the 11 seed beads this time, because, you know, this is a little bit more diminutive. And then we have the hematite tubes. And that's it. That's all the beads we're going to be using for the gem of a spider. And because this is exactly the same, I have already made the body. Okay, so I have the head, I have the body, and then I have the 8 little legs that need to be decorated. So let me show you the order of our beads.
Kim K says, so sparkly and handsome.
Oh, thank you so much.
Carmen says, hello all.
Hi, Carmen. And thanks for joining us. Okay, ladies, so we start out by stringing our, again, 3. I'm very consistent in these patterns. So the only difference it's going to be is that we don't have a different bead for right next to the first 3 seed beads. So we have our first 3 seed beads, and then we're just going to string on one of the hematite tubes and then another seed bead. So it's very, very similar actually to the last spider. And then we have a garnet bead. And yes, these are actual garnets and they're beautiful. And so then We have another seed bead, and then we have another hematite tubes. It's really a very, very simple pattern. And another garnet. So we're essentially just stringing hematite, garnet, and we have seed beads in between. And it's just really a very, very easy pattern to follow. And we are going to finish with a garnet bead. And of course, you guys are going, okay, I'm looking for the hole. I found it, maybe. It's the last one, come on. Okay, now I really found it. So this is our last bead. So this is the pattern of our beads for the gem of a spider. And the rest, you're just going to do exactly the same. And of course, you will have the picture. You will have a picture for either one that you order. And earlier, I was showing some of the other spiders. These are from maybe last year, actually. And we just restocked these. So these are an option as well. And they're made in exactly the same way. But then, of course, there's always a link in the kit. And it will take you right to the video where I showed this exact spider. So once we have all of our beads on the gem of a spider on one of his or her legs, we're just going to make a 90-degree angle and trim the wire a little bit, make the spiral, and repeat 7 times. And then we're going to follow the same rules and shape the spider exactly the same way. And we're going to use our flat nose pliers to just kind of give a little bit of an angle to the spirals. And this is what we're going to get. It's very, very easy. What do you guys think? Was that like really, really easy? Or I think yes. Tell me how easy it was. I love to hear that. Okay, ladies, so I'm just doing a little housekeeping here. I'm just going to put the little seed beads away. And now we're going to have a little parade of spiders on my desk. And so, you know, I can't help myself. I always want to play with these because they're fun. They're fun to play with. I make them dance and who knows, maybe even sing. And they talk, you know, they know how to talk. Okay, so then we have our little teeny guys, the little parade of tiny spiders. And then I will give you a little bit of a preview of everything that is coming up this week. And there's a lot coming up this week.
Kim K says easy peasy.
Yay, thank you so much. I love it when you say that. That means I did my job right. Okay, ladies, so let me give you a little preview of all of the holiday festivities. So tomorrow, we are going to be making icicles. We've already made some icicles this year, but can you really have too many icicles for the holidays? I'm going to say no. And every time I make icicles, they're always different. You know, it all depends on our mood. It depends on, well, of course, it depends on various components that we have. But, you know, I find myself just really enjoying making icicles because they're so quick and they're so very, very satisfying. So we're going to make a little room and our little spiders will have to move over just a little bit so that I can put these icicles right here. So we have a moon icicle, we have a chandelier icicle. This is a vintage chandelier icicle because it reminds me of a vintage chandelier, and I really love this chandelier component. And then we have two Hawaiian inspired icicles, and these are very similar to the Christmas tree icicle from a few weeks ago with furnace glass, but they're just very vibrant, and they're like, well, they're Hawaiian icicles. What can I say? And I'm sort of out of room at this point. Actually, they're Maui icicles. That's what I named them. They're Maui icicles. And one more icicle yet. And this is, what did we call this? This is
Tea rose.
Tea rose icicle. You know, I love this. This is so vintage looking. And I love these components. These are the same exact components that I used for the Christmas tree in this color. And this one has some marguerites in it, and it has some vintage rondelles, and it's just really great fun.
Kim K says such cute icicles.
Oh, thank you so much, Kim. And, but wait, there's more. So the icicles is what we're doing tomorrow. And then Wednesday, well, actually, no, tomorrow is Wednesday, December 12th. I'm confusing myself. So then, Thursday, December 13th, I'm going to be making the snowflakes. So we'll be making lots and lots of snowflakes. I have 6 different colorways this year for the snowflakes, and I'm just going to show you 3, and then I'm going to show you 3 more. And these are 2-sided. So whether you have them hanging from a chandelier, or in your Christmas tree, or in your window, either side is pretty. So these are my shimmering snowflakes, which I have made a very similar design before, where I take 2 snowflakes and I put them together to make one very, very full snowflake with something fun and blingy right in the center. So these are very fun to make. And this year, they're even more blingy than all of the other ones that I've made before, because I have upsized the center of the snowflake. So I'm just really into these right now. And so I have 6 different colorways for the snowflakes, and you see them in front of me right here. This is like a whole snowfall of bling and awesome color. And that, I believe, ladies, is all there is for today. I guess it went so quickly. I don't know. Did I miss anything? Let me know. Is there anything I missed? Because we did the project and we did the preview. What did we forget, if anything? Please let me know.
Friday event.
Yes, Friday event. So, for the Friday event, we are continuing Black Friday, because actually we picked out so many items for Black Friday that it didn't fit into one video. It didn't fit into 2 videos. So this is our 3rd one, right? So this Friday, we're just going to have more awesome deals on such a variety of findings and gemstone strands and pendants and single beads. I mean, there is going to be a little bit of everything. There's even going to be something for the stitchers. So let's see, I'm trying to remember everything that's in Friday's video. And I guess we'll just all have to be surprised. And Tony's saying we have some comments, so I'd love to hear them. A comment.
Kim R says, these are so beautiful. Are the snowflake kits available in the store?
Kim, thank you so much. I believe so.
They're in
Wait,
the Etsy shop.
store.
Yeah, they're in the
So,
Etsy shop.
right. So right now, are they all listed in the
They're all
Etsy?
listed.
Awesome.
I didn't have time to put the links in yet.
Gotcha. Okay, so no links yet. However, the spiders are in the Etsy shop. So are the icicles, and so are the snowflakes. So yeah, go to the Etsy shop, and sadly we don't have links yet, but you'll find them. It's not that big. I'm sure you will find whatever you're looking for.
It's in the featured on Facebook Live section.
Oh, yay! Thank you, Tony. I wasn't sure if you had enough time to make that happen, but it's always good to know that it's in the featured section.
Kim K says, sounds like an amazing week of fun.
Yay! Thank you so much. Yes, we're going to have so much fun this week. So a total of 4 videos this week. So I hope you guys join me tomorrow night at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time and Thursday night at 7 p.m. again Central Standard Time. And then of course Friday morning for the Friday morning shopping event. I will see you there. Thank you so much, you guys. I love your comments, and if you have any suggestions, you know where to find me. In the meantime, have a wonderful and creative evening.